in order to get this project completed is insane. Like, we're about to unload an 18-wheeler with our doors because the 18-wheeler didn't supply a forklift, and there's 0 people working on our project. So, yeah, 7 months. And what's done? We don't really know. We still have a lot to do. Now, our next problem is that we can't even get it out of the truck. Like, it's too long. It's uneven. And I really don't want to send this shipment back because I don't want it to delay our construction even more. So we're gonna have to figure this out. We're gonna figure it out because there's no other option. What's hilarious is that when I call the guy, the sales rep that I made this order with, and I'm telling him what is our next step, instead of giving me a solution, he's like, I spoke to somebody about this. Somebody told me y'all had a forklift. I'm like, I don't even have the proper number of men working on this project. I would never have said that. And he's like stuck on that. I'm like, dude, I need a solution. Like, I don't care about what was said in the past. We're talking about right now. Look how far away this truck is. That entrance, like, I'm not gonna do that. Then he wants to ask me if I want to break the boxes down. They each weigh 5,000 pounds, and there's so many different supplies in there. It just makes no sense. So I came to the property next door just to take a look at the building and the project to see how far along we have come. And finally the doors were delivered, so these have been installed. It's gonna look pretty nice once the handles and everything are placed. But there's still a lot to do. Like, if you see in the background, you see that the ceilings have not been placed. There's like wire hanging everywhere. So electricians and the AC people are not done. And this is like one of the main things that have to be done first in order to continue with like the floors and all of that. So there's been a huge delay. This whole project initially started back in August. And by the time we got the permit and we got the floor plan right and everything, it was ready. Permits were ready to get started on as of December of last year. And yeah, here we are, still today in June, mid-June, and still working on it. Inspection for the electrical passed. As you can tell, electricity is on, the AC is on. It's still a mess in here. And just as I expected, our contractor messaged me yesterday, after I asked him for an update, and tells me that it will no longer be ready today, because clearly it's still not done. He pushed it back until Friday, which I knew was gonna happen. I mean, if you take a look at the place, it doesn't take a genius to find out that this place still has a lot of work to do. Our new tenant is a ABA therapy for kids, and this right here is the playroom area for them. And I'm actually really proud of this design because I worked with the architect to incorporate like a lot of rooms here based off my own office next door. I've actually learned a lot with construction and having to deal with architects, engineers, general contractors, all of that. And it's a headache, I can tell you. But I'm sure at the end, it's always gonna be worth it once it's all said and done. This floor plan, I'm like so excited about because I really took advantage of every single square feet. And there's like 2 bathrooms here, employee restroom in the front, closed office, 8 rooms on that side, 2 on this side, a restroom in the lobby, a break room, breaker rooms, like everything I honestly wanted in my own office, I kind of put here except for the playpen, but they do need that. So really excited for that. Hopefully once they start cleaning up and actually putting the ceiling tiles in, it'll start looking like it's coming together. But I was really excited. I had to come back in because a lot of the communication gets lost when you have to deal with the city, permitting, different companies, vendors. And I wasn't sure if the electrical inspection passed, which obviously did because the lights are on. And I always get to the office around like 5 a.m. I drove by and I saw that this whole building was lit. So I was really excited. Let's see what happens. Today's Tuesday. Contractor said by Friday. The best thing is that, well, actually it's a good and bad thing, but my office is literally right next door. So anytime I needed to peek in on the project, I did. Because I never want to let all of that be in the hands of a contractor or somebody else. I'm kind of controlling. And I wanted to be on top of everything. And it's amazing that my office is just right here. So it's lighting. Now it's time to get to work in my office. How many keys have I given the construction people? I've really run out of keys. I've given them like 6 or 7 keys. And now they're here in my office asking for some. So as I opened the door for them, I realized that they were bringing in the supplies for the reception area and the break room, like the cabinets and countertops. So hopefully this gets done quicker than I think. Which I think it's not going to be done by Friday, but I'm hoping it is. So we'll see. Anyways, back to payroll. Payroll isn't due until Wednesday, but I always do it earlier so I can get it out of the way, just in case something happens and I'm not able to complete it on time on Wednesday. You never want to be late giving people their money. I'll just put it in order before I sign it, and then once I'm done, I give it to my assistant to put them in envelopes. For all you managers or HR people, these Comply Right forms are so amazing. Like, it tells you how to actually complete the forms, to do proper documentation and stuff for your employees. That's one for like payroll change, if someone goes from part-time to full-time, so on and so forth. I do performance appraisals on them, on my employees, every 3 months, and actually every 4 months. And which they also have like an incentive, like bonuses and stuff like that based off their performance evaluation. So that's the form I use for that. Then of course, the very famous employee warning notice book. The form is like pretty helpful. So if somebody doesn't want to write it out, this is the best thing to use. I love them, and I'm going to start actually on a payroll change because one of my employees is going to part-time. Happy Friday! So, Friday's a big day. We were supposed to have construction finished today. We had a lot of complications yesterday. Too much to go over right now. I'm going to stop by to see what was done. Keep in mind they're supposed to be done today, and cleaning starts tomorrow. That's not good. Oh, that's weird. It's still wild. Looks the same. Looks freaking the same. Oh my gosh. You guys. The break room, like cabinets, countertop, is still not there. This is supposed to be covered. The top of the door is supposed to be covered. The restroom doesn't have, well, all they did was put a mirror, but where are the stalls? Where are the partitions? I'm so disappointed. Like, I just don't understand why lie? Like, be realistic, be honest, because you're affecting a lot of people. It's very, very frustrating working with someone that's in charge of a project, a huge project, that can't be honest and realistic. Yesterday I was told that they're gonna come in and do the restrooms. And the countertops. And then in the morning, I got another text saying he hired somebody else to come. And then in the afternoon, I was told they're not coming because they got COVID. And then I got another text saying somebody else got COVID, so they can't come. And then finally at the end, it was that they're doing their job at the end of the day off site, and we'll bring it and deliver it today, this morning. I was also told all this little touch-ups and like, this is important. You can't leave this like that. The top of the door needs to be covered. And as understanding as I have been for so long, I'm really tired of it. I've been tired of it. And when you don't have control over something, there's really nothing you can do. And yeah, I mean, I was expecting this to be done. It's pretty depressing. That's how I feel. It's so disappointing when you constantly get lied to, and like, words cannot explain how furious I am. Obviously, it's not done. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done. Major work, like the restrooms. The restroom tile floor. The previous company made an error on the flooring, and the foundation is off. There's no partitions in the restroom, so the stalls are missing. This is very important. The top of this play area and the top of the door, you can't leave it like that. Still not done. Break room doesn't have cabinets, countertops, anything. And then my reception area is not finished either because it doesn't have any drawers. And it's just, I can't believe that. I just can't believe that. We're adamant about the fact that it's going to be done, and nothing was done. Zero change since I was here yesterday. They just cleaned up a little bit, literally. That was all that they did. So frustrating. So tiring. And I really just want this project to be over. It is Monday, and we're about to find out if this project is finally complete. And of course the project wasn't complete. It's Monday. We said it would be done on Friday. Then we said it would be done on Saturday. Now Monday. Here we are. Obviously walls are unfinished. This needs to be completed, painted, whatever they need to do. There's still like a whole lot of hardware that's not completed. The front receptionist office, the break room, the cabinets in there, and then of course all the doors are not even hanging. They had to remove it to paint the frame of the doors. You can't tell me that will be done on a Monday and then I walk into this. Of course it's clean, but I expected it. Texted the construction guy, let's see what happens next. I really don't know at this point. You lose trust from people, and I don't understand how people can have business like this. It is a new week, and it's been exactly 1 week since I've last given you guys an update on our project. And it's safe to say that we are done with construction. Thankfully, thank God. There actually is just like one thing left to do, which is the reception window. But nothing that would hold the tenants back from moving in. I've already inspected the whole office, and they did the touch-ups on the doors, the paintings in the wall, and they've cleaned it up. Now it's nice and ready for the tenants to move in. And I could I cannot express how happy I am because it's been the longest year. The journey of doing any construction is a very tedious one. A lot of people are involved, from architects, engineers, from the actual general contractor himself, and also the city if you need permits. Then you have the inspectors. There's so many different people involved, and most times communication gets lost. So my advice to everyone is just, if you're doing a project, make sure you're patient, do your research, and try to understand that there's sometimes obstacles that will come your way that you have no control over. There's gonna be times where you're actually dependent on that specific vendor or your contractor, whoever it is, and it's gonna be okay. I really haven't had too many projects. This one is our second. The first one, I kind of got involved midway after it was started. It was actually when this whole building was being built. So this one was a little bit different. We had to build out the interior of an office, and this one is 4,000 square feet. But I got the feel of starting this project from the very beginning, working with the architect, the engineer, the contractor, and every time I learned something new. No matter how much research you do, some things will get in the way or cause a delay, and sometimes it won't go your way, and it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine at the end of the day, but I've learned a lot through this journey. I've learned to be more patient through this journey, but I also have, my notes for the future. I know what to look out for. You start to learn the rules that inspections will be looking for. You'll learn the guidelines of ADA requirements. There's so many different things, whether it's commercial or residential. Just do your research and take your time on learning. So I definitely had realistic expectations because a project like this should definitely not take a year. It didn't even take a year for them to complete this whole building, which was 10,000 square feet. We were told about 90 days, and of course it's been well over that. At the end, it's gonna be worth it. That's all you have to remember. Finally, after completing this project, I have some really good tips for anyone that is going to start a construction project for a commercial property. And the first thing is have a vision, create your vision board. Brainstorm, get some pictures, you can cut them out from magazines, create a Pinterest board, so many different things you can do, but create a little portfolio of how you envision your space to look like. Once you do that, I personally recommend for you to go ahead and get with your architect to draw out the floor plans, and that way you're one step ahead when you need to hire your general contractor. Your general contractor, also known as your builder, is going to be your best friend throughout this whole entire process. You will have the most communication with them, so it's very important that you select the right one. I definitely recommend for you to verify their license, see how long they've been in business, and make sure that they have worked on past projects similar to the one that you're planning for. The number one question I recommend for you to ask to determine which contractor you're going to choose is whether they have their own workers or are they going to hire independent contractors to complete your project. And for me, it's really important because if they do have their own workers, they will give you a better estimate on when the project will be completed. When you have to rely on independent subcontractors, oftentimes they are working on different projects, and that can cause delays for everyone. So I personally highly recommend for you to choose the contractor that has its own workers, has its own crew, who will be working on the plumbing, they'll work on the HVAC or AC system, they'll be working on the electricals, and it's very, very, very helpful when they have their own people who will give that time and dedication for your project. So now that you have narrowed down your options, this is where you will give the floor plan that you created with your architect to these different contractors so you can get a better estimate on how much it will take to complete your project, and will also give you a more accurate timeline for the completion of the project as well. So now that you've chosen your best friend, it is important to understand that there will be delays. So have realistic expectations for your project. You're working with multiple vendors. You have your general contractor, of course, but you have an architect, you have the engineer, the city inspectors, a variety of different people involved in your project, and somewhere down the line, something will happen to cause some sort of delay. One of the things that I dealt with was either damaged materials, or they were out of stock on some of the materials that we were needing, which would take an extra couple weeks to come in, and sometimes there's really nothing you can do about it. And it's common, it's normal, it's going to happen. So it's very important to set that timeline and just extend it a little more, so that way you don't have as much pressure, especially if you have a tenant, on yourself to get the project done by the date that was given to you. It's very critical to understand there will be delays. There will be. There's no way of getting around it. No company will get it done on the same day that they give you. There could be a weather issue, there could be a shipment issue, or there could be a change order. And with the change order, sometimes that means you gotta go back to your architect or your mechanical engineer and get a new set of drawings done, which can also delay it. And potentially it can also increase the cost of your budget as well. So it is very important to also have a realistic budget. I definitely recommend whatever quote you received from your contractor to add about 5 to 10% to it, because change orders can increase the cost, as well as the type of materials that you choose, which is why I recommend for you to choose all of the materials, or let the architect know, so that way when you do get a quote from your contractor, they can give you a realistic quote based off of what you want. It is very important to note that there are specific ADA requirements that your building has to follow. And the Americans with Disabilities Act is simply stating that your building is easily accessible to a person with disabilities. For example, is a wheelchair ramp, or the height of the light switch, the distance from the toilet to the sink. When you're entering into the restroom, there should be enough room for a wheelchair to turn. There are specific requirements, and although your architect should be already aware of them, it's important for you to know this, so that way it can be addressed prior to starting your project. It should be easily visible in that floor plan given to your builder, because your builder's worker, they go based off that floor plan. And if it's not easily visible, they can start the project and then be in violation of these requirements, which would then cause for you to have more costs, because you would have to do a change order, or you would have to do redo whatever work was already done to make sure you're compliant. So my final tip for you guys is just to make sure you stay involved. Take the time to go to the project site, meet who the contractors are, meet the architect, meet the people that you're working with, and just ensure that everything's going smoothly. It's very, very neat when you get to go to the site and it's an empty shell that becomes walls and doors and rooms, whatever you choose to do with the project. But it's a very tedious process, and staying involved helps you eliminate those extra room that can cause errors. So I really wish that anyone who's about to start this journey has a successful one, and one with very little delays. Just remember to stay positive, and you got this. Thank you guys for watching.